because of this plant, the cannabis plant, we've all become friends with each other. We've all become helpmates and, giving new ideas. And there are just so many areas we have left to explore. And I can't wait to see what's next.
Got a lot of love, yeah, that's for sure. You got music and movies, and friends and medicine. Yeah, is the show for me and you, the one you love to listen to. And ooh, you got your friends, see it through. See, 'cause laughter is medicine too. Said it's medicine too, babe.
Hey, it's the Wendy Love Edge Show. I'm your co-host, Branden Lee, and we don't dispense medical advice, and all your health choices are your own.
And the opinions expressed on this show are not necessarily those of our producer, Edge Productions. This is season 6, episode 2, sponsored by Caris Healthcare and the Relevant app. Hey, Branden, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm living the cannabis lifestyle.
Oh, what does that mean to Wendy Love Edge when she lives the cannabis lifestyle? Do you sleep on marijuana? What do you do? Like, is it in your pillows?
I wish actually. Well, really what it means to me is having cannabis, cannabinoids, taken as medicine. When I was living
breakfast, you just pour milk on it, put a little sugar and.
When I lived in Massachusetts and we had the ability to grow, which I always have to say, grow rights are human rights, because that's the truth.
I agree.
Yeah, so I had the leaves, and also my friends who grew would save the leaves, the big fan leaves for me, and I would juice them. I put them in my shake in the morning and then head to the gym, right? And
yeah, I didn't know you could juice
yes,
marijuana. That's something I've never even fathomed. I didn't know you could take the leaves and do that.
Yeah.
In Arkansas, we're just so held back from everything. We don't know any of this stuff.
Right. And, I feel like the people here really miss out and lose the full benefit of the plant. So my day would start with the juicing, because raw cannabis is so good to reduce inflammation, take the swelling right out of my joints and the stiffness, so I could do well at the gym that day,
Yeah.
And then, using the medicine throughout the day in different ways, whether I'm smoking or using a tincture, and also talking about it, activism, connecting with other people who use cannabis as medicine, and breaking the stigma as much as possible. So for me, that's living the cannabis lifestyle. I don't get to fully do that here in Arkansas because the law is
just because the law
so limited. Yeah,
yeah, you gotta be sheltered.
Yes.
You're talking about cannabis lifestyle. I was just seeing all these athletes that live the cannabis lifestyle. I was reading up that almost 90% of the NFL say they use cannabis. Some people use it right before they play.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, like the most famous one, Michael Phelps, that guy's got a few gold medals. And,
yes.
Right. And he has been living that lifestyle as well. I think one of the big things, Wendy, is not making that much judgment about people and how the way they get through with their life. Especially if it's not affecting you.
Right. And, when we talk about lifestyle, we're kind of talking about habits, attitudes, what we consume on all levels, whether it's the music we listen to or what we're eating. And so adding that word lifestyle to cannabis, to me, makes sense. But when I first started talking about it on social media in preparation for this episode, people were like, cannabis lifestyle? What are you talking about? You know, are we
Yeah,
lying
you
on the
just-
couch eating a bag
you're
of
like
candy?
Scrooge McDuck, and you got a big old swimming pool of marijuana. You know, like you're living the full lifestyle. You know. Yeah,
Right.
but there is. I mean, yeah, people, maybe there's a stigma attached to people thinking that, you know, everyone thinks that you're living the lifestyle and you're Snoop Dogg or something, you know. But there's
Right.
different ways that, as you mentioned, now that you're saying these things, that can really be so helpful in your particular life. You know, you deal with
Right.
a lot of things personally that affect you, and that these things literally help you in your daily
Right.
life. So that's part of your routine, as much as it is for some people to have to take prescriptions every day,
Mhm.
or do things to keep their body going, you know.
Right. And I can see, you know, for some who may, in ways, I guess that using the word misuse the medicine to the point of
Abuse.
overuse. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't like to put judgment on that so much, but I have known people who, you know, it's difficult for them to get going because they're over consuming, especially with THC.
Right.
You know,
And we got to remember that everyone is an individual and everyone is different. And I really am a true believer that the same thing goes with medications and cannabis and things like that. It affects people differently, period. So
Mhm.
what happens for you may not happen to your friend or even anyone you know. And so you definitely have to listen to your body and realize what's happening around you. If
Yes.
things are passing by too quickly and they're not, you know, they're not making sense, or you feel things that are dropping, and you know, maybe the cannabis lifestyle needs to be drawn back a little bit, you know,
Right. Right.
and finding your groove, you know.
Yeah, I mean, hey, during parts of the pandemic when, you know, I was feeling sort of isolated and really missing connections, you know, there were
Oh yeah.
days where it was easier to get higher and just be, right?
Right. And
But
hey, hey, parachutes, man. You're just parachuting down, you know, you're like,
right.
you're good.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there are times like that. I think everyone kind of does that. You know, people do the same thing, Wendy, with alcohol in way worse
Mhm.
situations. You know, you can't say there is a big difference between cannabis and alcohol. We know this, but you can turn it into a crutch either
Right.
way. Anything can
Right.
be a crutch.
That's
Um,
true. That's true.
and
Or you
abuse.
can, you know, you mentioned Snoop Dogg, and I was like, you know, man, you know, that's like a luxurious lifestyle of
Right.
fast-paced fun. Is it a cannabis lifestyle? Maybe there are different levels or different ways that people express a cannabis lifestyle. I don't know.
Right. And maybe we need to all get on Snoop Dogg's level. Maybe
That would, yeah,
that's
sure.
we need more Snoop Dogs in this world, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right.
Well, I know that we're talking about this lifestyle, and there's all sorts of, as I said, I mentioned before, is there are a lot of different lifestyles out there. And the
Mhm.
big thing is to judge a person by their character and not kind of how they have to get through the day. Now, I understand you definitely have to keep your friends in check too, because as you mentioned, like some people get way out there and
Mhm.
to be reeled back in
Right.
a little too high. So
Right. Right.
definitely, I think listen to your body and definitely watch out for your other friends and things like that too.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know, like anything, we can overdo it, whether it's overeating or
Hey, you
over.
can overwork out. We were talking about that last week. You can't do
Absolutely.
too much.
Right, right. But I think in general, you know, it can be a very healthy lifestyle, and that's why I wanted to do this show to kind of to highlight how some people have used this plant and this medicine to really enhance their life and feel better, you know.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, advocate and help other people. You know, we were talking about 60s and 70s, way different time for any people that use cannabis. It was a way different time, and all these people that paved the path for us to be a little bit more comfortable, and even you and I talking about it, you know?
Absolutely. Some of the folks on this show really absolutely paved the way for all of us and have lived the cannabis lifestyle for a very long time. So
They
I
were
think,
doing it before Snoop Dogg.
yes, yes, for sure. And speaking of that, I had the chance to sit down with Eve Lentz, Tom Lowerman, and Crystal Anderson, or Uper Jane, to discuss the cannabis lifestyle. And that's coming up next. Joining me now is cannabis and hemp activist Eve Lentz. Ms. Lentz has been a core group member of the Seattle Hemp Fest since 1997 and for years worked at the festival's history booth. She's been a cannabis and hemp advocate for decades, including her close friendship with the late Jack Herer, author of the groundbreaking book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes. She has helped with startups of and memberships in historic groups like Normal Women of Washington and Grandmas for Ganja, just to name a couple. And she was also on the committee who drafted the Washington State Initiative, making the state legal for cannabis as medicine in 1998. She credits cannabis with saving her life. Welcome to the show, Eve Lentz.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be asked to be on here. Thank you.
Oh, you're most welcome. Also joining me is Farmer Tom Lauerman. Farmer Tom grew up with a deep appreciation for cannabis. The vision for his current lifestyle started in 1999 after a raid of his collective garden. Farmer Tom has been combining his life's passions, professional landscape and construction experience, his vision of medicinal and food and plant production, his talents as a keynote speaker, and his work as a plant advocate to bring forward the hemp and cannabis industry. Tom Lowerman is an expert in his field. In fact, CNBC called him a cross between Paul Newman and Jerry Garcia. MJ Headline News called him the Walt Whitman of weed. Marvel Comics, the federal government, and Weed Maps sought him out for his expertise. And so did we here at the Wendy Love Edge Show. Welcome, Farmer Tom.
Thanks so much, Wendy, for having me on the show. This is a great pleasure and an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Anderson, also known as Uper Jane, is a caregiver in Michigan's beautiful Upper Peninsula. She enjoys cultivating cannabis and other plants and gourmet mushrooms. A proponent of earth medicine, activist, and advocate, Crystal is breaking the stigma every day, particularly for women. Welcome to the show, Crystal.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you're all here. And we're going to have a panel discussion about cannabis lifestyle. And, you know, it's interesting because I started sort of preempting the show a little bit, talking about cannabis lifestyle on social media. And people were like, what is a cannabis lifestyle? What are you talking about? Right.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask each of you one at a time, if you could explain to me, what does a cannabis lifestyle mean to you and how is it implemented in your own life? If you'd like to start, Eve, that would be great.
To me, a cannabis lifestyle, I've been having that lifestyle since I went to college in 1971. And somebody said, here, try this joint. And I was afraid because I was told by my parents and everyone else that it's not, it's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad that rules and everything are lessening now because
Mm-hmm.
it was made a devil weed,
Right.
and it's really medicine to me.
Excellent.
And has saved my life, like you said earlier.
Yeah, wonderful. So Tom, how about you? What does living a cannabis lifestyle mean to you?
Well, before I get started, Eve and her sister, man, they're total legends. And they were on it so early in the day. And it's such an honor to be on a podcast on a panel with Eve and just all of you. But her and her sister are amazing people. And, You know, they've spearheaded lots of movements, and they've been at every event and at the courthouses with us over the years, and they're just super, super great people.
Truly
So that's
living
what I
the
wanted to get out there
lifestyle.
first.
Yeah,
Oh,
truly
Yeah,
living the
definitely.
lifestyle in every way. And believe me, I am honored that Eve is here as well. So thank you again, Eve,
She's
for
a
being here.
total encyclopedia on music and hemp and cannabis.
Yeah.
If anybody, she's got it all up there in her brain, you know. So it's she's a huge reference and accurate reference also.
Yes.
So
Nice.
Thank you,
So
Tom.
so what is the lifestyle for you, Tom?
well, it's I grew up, you know, surfing and skateboarding and downhill mountain bike racing in San Diego, and I beat myself up, and I found cannabis at a young age, and it really helped all around. It just made my whole life better. And the organic lifestyle kind of came off the clean living off the beach, and you know, eating what we caught and fresh vegetables, and then landscaping that I did when I started planting plants for a landscape contractor in San Diego. That kind of, you know, it all started coming together, and we started growing our own. The seeds that we got from Mexico, we started growing them in our backyard.
Mhm.
And then I met my wife, who has she has medical issues. She has a compromised immune system.
Mm.
So we needed to get to a place where we had our own water, and we could grow our own food, and we could grow our own cannabis. So for us, I've kind of coined the term the cannabis organic lifestyle. And that's kind of been what we've been living for the last 25 years, me and my wife.
Wonderful. It sounds like pretty healthy to me. We're going to talk more about that as we go along on the interview. But it sounds like cannabis lifestyle includes these other healthy eating choices, which I love that. So moving to Crystal, I'd love to know your thoughts about what a healthy or a cannabis lifestyle means to you.
So, healthy cannabis lifestyle means to me that you are, living organically. I definitely identified with that part. What you're putting into your body is definitely going to produce an outcome, right? So, like, you might see that in aches and pains in your body, right? You might see it in headaches. Your body's going to respond to everything that you're putting in it, because we all have these unique, amazing bodies, right?
Mhm.
So I think about what it really is in the eyes of my children, right? Because I consider myself mother first and foremost. And it, for me, that means normalizing it for the future generation, because if they don't see how natural it is and how much it helps people, then they're going to grow up to stigmatize cannabis. And that is something that I feel is my job to kind of inform and help other people in this space come out and maybe find some community in that. So for me, that's what a cannabis lifestyle includes.
It's interesting. You brought up some really good points, all of you. And it really ties in with kind of my next question, because you all kind of talked about these really positive aspects that it brought out by adding cannabis to your life, whether it's, music or an art, or, it's eating healthier or looking at sustainability. It does seem to open our minds, to these other positive things. But many people associate a cannabis lifestyle with people being a stoner, being a slacker, laying around on the couch eating snacks, right? So how do we help people kind of move away from that idea? What are your thoughts about that, Eve?
I really think that most people are now more aware of what cannabis is. The CBD market took off, thank goodness, because that's very healing. And we just thought it was a weed. It grew in our yard. We tried to smoke it, but it didn't get us high, but it made us feel good. Anyway,
Mhm.
and they've eradicated it all over, the United States and probably other countries. And I
Mhm.
just know that it's a healing and wonderful plant. And I've had a wonderful life, sometimes hard because, getting to all these different meetings for different groups, Women of Weed, Normal Women in Washington, all of that. But mainly it's the people themselves and how people keep trying to find new ways to explore the plant and find, get it to the public in ingenious ways. And
Mhm.
it's just, like Tom Lowerman is one of my heroes, and just his feel was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yes. Right.
Just,
Yeah.
it's
So
people like that in my life that, I always have forever. They're
Mhm.
forever friends. And, we all work together or whatever. And I just love my lifestyle.
Mhm. It sounds like
Because of the people that are in it.
It sounds like maybe your thought is by continuing to create community and bringing forward these other cannabinoids like CBD, we're always working on breaking the stigma of that stoner life that people might see in a movie, but I don't think any of us here today are living really that particular life. Not that that's bad either, but if we're thinking about cannabis lifestyle in terms of health and wellness, we're all kind of living that instead, right?
Well, I really feel now that it's legal, we're not afraid, or in most places,
Right.
we're not afraid anymore. And I had a fear of quote coming out, but I couldn't help but do that because that was in me. I, was a voice, one of hundreds. And if it wasn't for all those hundreds of people, we wouldn't be here talking right now. It's
Right.
wonderful people that share
Mhm.
ideas and a joint.
Right.
It always uplifts me.
Yeah, the community, I think by its nature, cannabis creates community, and then the community lifts us up,
Wonderful people.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, do you have any ideas about kind of breaking that idea of the cannabis lifestyle being about slackers and lying on the couch and eating snacks?
I kind of laugh at it, but I want to go back to what Eve was saying.
Uh-huh.
And the activists and the advocates, we did all this out of pocket. Most of us broke, most of us barely holding on. So many people put so much of their lives so that the plant would be free and that everybody could smoke it and have it and participate in it.
Mhm.
And it's really sad now to see all these Chads and Karens and mega corporations diving in and stealing it all away from us. And it's really hard for people. A lot of the advocates who made it legal are kind of getting left in the dust. So, if you're out there buying products or are on the market, find the product and do a little research and find the products that are made by the advocates, the people that brought you the plant, who did all the work, who went to jail, who sacrificed everything, who was shunned from public, who was laughed at. All these things we all went through in our own separate communities across the country. So if everybody really wants to do good and to feel good about your purchase from people who helped start the movement.
I'd love for that to be a tenet of living a cannabis lifestyle. I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. So I want to move on to another question, and Crystal, I'm going to send it to you first, because I know that it's very important to you women have access to cannabis, and that the stigma is broken for women. Through our life cycle, we have, childbearing years and menopause and all of that. Is a cannabis lifestyle healthy for women? And how do we impart that if you feel that it is, which I'm guessing you probably do?
I do think it's healthy for women. I think that there's a lot of practical applications for women. Like the first thing that jumps out to me is like our menstrual cycles, right? Like, I mean, that might be an uncomfortable topic for, I guess, some people, but it's real. We have cramps, we have pains after childbirth, we have things that we deal with every day that can be dealt with cannabis. And honestly, it's harmless, really. Like, you think about even Tylenol, right? And I mean, Tylenol has its applications, it's a medication, right? But you can use cannabis and not overdose on cannabis and treat the same ailments without that risk. So if you're to ask me which I prefer, for my life, I'm going to go with cannabis, because I don't want to rely on someone else to provide me with my medication. Is another lesson in sustainability, So being self-reliant, and that's another theme, I guess, that's really important for women, that you can learn through cannabis and living the lifestyle that we live. So yeah, I definitely think it has applications for both women and men, but for women especially, we have this calling to Mother Nature, and I feel like we have an opportunity to really embody that by embracing plant medicine and sharing it with other women in the community. So I'm here for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready for other women to kind of like embrace new age, right? Like, embrace what old medicine can do here in our modern world today. So
nice. Eve, do you have thoughts about this for women's health? And is it cannabis lifestyle helped you as a woman through your life cycle?
For many years, cannabis companies, anything dealing with cannabis, were led by men, and the women did all the grunt jobs because we're women. And but through our cannabis activism and everything, we become equals, and or even, oh, that girl just is so, she's pregnant, she has all this, and she's out there getting signatures for our initiatives to legalize. And but it was hard because it is stereotypical, but at the same time, it was a man-led world, at least in the activism, and for a while. And then more women got into it, and some were just like, they're the partner to the owner, the man, and but I'm happy to see that it's men have stepped up. And I just love that because of this plant, the cannabis plant, we've all become friends with each other. We've all become helpmates, and giving new ideas. And there are just so many areas we have left to explore, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Right? Yeah, me too. Tom, what are your thoughts about this? You mentioned that your wife was ill, and that we were caring for her health by really embracing this cannabis lifestyle even further. What are your thoughts in regard to women, cannabis lifestyle, and health?
Well, I think it's, both my wife and my daughter, they go through their monthly cycles, and it definitely really helps take the edge off, and it helps take the edge off normal everyday life for both of them. There's different strains that we use for different things, and they have their daytime strains that give them an uplifting feeling and help them throughout the day. And then they have strains that, and generally the strains that I like for those things, they don't like for those things. And so everything is really strain specific, and strain specific all the way down to the individual.
Mhm.
So I see it really being beneficial to my wife and my daughter. We all consume cannabis on a daily, regular basis for our own needs, and we,
Mhm.
have defined the strains that work best for us.
So my final question is, if someone is wanting to embark on a cannabis lifestyle, I know Crystal kind of outlined earlier, she's like, the cannabis kind of led to these other positive, healthy things. But let's say someone's just kind of getting started and they're wondering, how is this going to, how am I going to implement this in my life? Do you have any advice to help them to get started with that? How about you, Eve, if you could start?
Just find a good source of cannabis that you like, or there are people that come up with new strains every day and whatever. Just be open to other people's ideas. It may not help you in any way, but if you take one thing from it, you do. And I really have noticed our children, when we had to hide, it was real hard. We were paranoid and all that, and we didn't want our kids to know, and things like that. And it's important because children use, like Charlotte, is it Fiji, Charlotte's Web. There are just so many people in this world that have defied logic in, that medicine helped keep her alive for so long. And there are other people like her. But my advice is just be open to learning more, and just, keep being friends, with the ones that we're blessed to have. And that it's something we don't do alone. We do it with other people's help and love.
I love that. Thank you. Tom, do you have any advice for people just kind of getting started?
Sure. If you live in a state where you can grow a couple of personal plants, I would start right there. There's nothing like growing a plant. I have so many friends that I've turned it on to over the years. And in Oregon, you could grow your 4 plants, no problem. In Washington, you got to have a medical permit to do it, or a medical letter from your doctor. And I would just start growing it. There's nothing healing or more beneficial or gives you so much joy and satisfaction as growing your own. And then being able to just start there. And if you can't start there, find a local grower who lives up to your expectations as far as growing organically, or growing with clean inputs, and making sure you have the cleanest, they don't spray their plants, and maybe reach out and see if you could spend a little time with them in their farm, or do a little volunteer work on their farm, so you have better access to the plant and its healing properties. So we, back in the day, we used to just all hang out together at all these events, and that would be a good place to go. Like in Seattle, everybody in the Pacific Northwest, their first introduction to cannabis was going to Hemp Fest, buying a bong, buying a dime bag of weed, and sitting on one of those grassy knolls out there in Seattle and burning them down. That was like the initiated rites. Every summer, these kids would bus and hitchhike and go in carpools, and they'd all go to Hemp Fest. They'd buy their bong, and then they would go out and they'd buy themselves a bag. And boy, that was kind of their initiation into the lifestyle. Now that we have stores on every corner, I'm not saying that people should buy weed for kids or something. I guess kids are going to have to find their own way to do it, like we did back in the day. I'm not encouraging it. It has, life happens. So, as far as adults going and they want to get into the lifestyle, not only don't look into and getting clean cannabis, but you know, if you really want to be healthy, you're going to have to change your whole lifestyle, like ditch the Coca-Colas and the candy bars and these energy drinks and all that stuff, and drink more water and eat more clean food and know your farmer and know your cannabis farmer and really kind of immerse yourself into the lifestyle. I think that's the best way to do it.
Nice. Thank you for that. And Crystal, do you have any advice for people just embarking on a cannabis lifestyle?
Find the others, you know, find us and ask us those uncomfortable questions that you have about cannabis. I mean, I love that. I love when people reach out to me and ask me about cannabis, because it shows me that I'm doing what I intend to be doing, getting out the word, right? Educating other people about how practical it is and how helpful it can be for everyone.
Right.
It has an application, I believe, everybody can find in their life. So yeah, find mentorship. And whether or not you seek out that mentorship, it will find you in the cannabis space, and it's part of the community. So yeah, reach out. That's my best advice.
Again, great, excellent advice from all of you. Well, this has been amazing. I've learned a lot, and I hope everyone out there feels the same way. I'm sure they do. Eve Lentz, once again, it's been such an honor to talk with you and hear your insights and some of the more of the history, really. Tom Lowerman, same. Thank you so much for being here and for giving your insights. And Crystal Anderson, I love what you're doing, and thank you also for joining me today. I think we had a pretty good cross section of different ages and different states and walks of life. And I believe, you know, anyone can embark on a cannabis lifestyle. I agree. I think it's a healthy lifestyle that promotes wellness. And I think we see that with the people here today as well. So thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Wendy.
Absolutely. Take care now.
This is Mile High News on the Wendy Love Edge Show with your host, Candace Dyer. Today's cannabis news is out of the Hill in December 2021 by Sal Albine. Congressional Democrats are gearing up for a sweeping set of incentives aimed at decriminalizing cannabis that they plan to take action on this spring. The federal proposals seek to establish 21st century banking services for nearly an $18 billion industry and purge the criminal records of thousands of cannabis offenders. The growing bipartisan momentum for cannabis reform shows that Congress is primed for progress in 2022. And we are closer than ever to bringing our cannabis policies and laws in line with the American people. Nearly 70% of Americans, including roughly half of Republicans, support legalizing cannabis. The past year saw 5 states join in allowing recreational cannabis, including New Mexico, New Jersey, Virginia, Connecticut, as well as a wealth of policy ideas in Congress targeted at ending cannabis prohibition, including bills like the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expunge Act, or the MORE Act, sponsored by Lee Blumenauer, seek to remove cannabis from the Controlled Substance Act and purge records for those convicted of using cannabis. Other bills would allow the development of legal cannabis market in Washington, D.C., enshrine the legality of the state cannabis programs and the possibility that they should cover even federal workers and provide for cannabis research trials for PTSD, while prohibiting retribution by the Veterans Administration against physicians who recommend the substance. Another key bill is the Safe Banking Act, sponsored by Rep. Perlmutter. This would allow cannabis industry access to an array of financial services, such as commercial loans, checking accounts, and credit card processing. Under the current law, financial institutions providing banking services to legitimate and licensed cannabis businesses under state laws are several federal statutes, such as aiding and abetting a federal crime and money laundering. This has forced the cannabis industry in most states where it is legal to conduct business totaling in the billions of dollars, almost entirely in cash, leading to the occasional high-profile robberies and murders. Then there are bills like Bipartisan Medical Marijuana Research Act that would remove restrictions from federal researching, studying cannabis and ensure that researchers have access to the same high-grade product that is used by consumers. Taken together, the bills show the broad strokes what a marijuana liberalization policy could look like. A modern, diverse, regulated industry of small producers, not dominated by giants like alcohol and tobacco. In addition to investing in the communities most impacted by the war on drugs, it's critical that the cannabis industry, especially for people of color, give them the equal opportunity to participate. Us cannabis activists definitely have our work cut out for us this spring. Get ready for an action-packed session of cannabis legalization. This has been a Mile High News Report from the Wendy Love Edge Show, and I'm your host, Candace Dyer. Stay lit, everyone. Peace.
Well, it was my honor really to interview Eve Lentz and Tom Lowerman, all of them actually, but man, I never expected to be chatting with Eve Lentz like that. And I think it was-
Wendy, she's a legend. She has marijuana strains named after her.
She does.
Like, isn't that like a goal in life for someone just to name the Girl Scouts are the other one. So I don't even know how you even get that done, but that's legendary.
I know, it is. I keep hoping someone might do it. I'll put that out there.
Just put out that Wendy Love Edge stuff.
There you go.
Your job.
Oh, I love it.
Hey, what's up with Candace with another update with the news? She's so good when she's really, really high. So I'm impressed with her just reading at this point. It's amazing. We give her a round of applause.
Yes, mile high.
She's a mile high in Texas, as we say.
There you go. So what have you been watching?
You know, Wendy, we were talking a little bit about it last week. I watched a few movies here and there. I'm still waiting to watch Spider-Man. I haven't seen it yet, but I randomly ran into a comedy that I don't think very many people have watched, and maybe I'm in the wrong, but this movie is called Long Shot, and it's with Seth Rogen and the beautiful Charlize Theron, and I watched it the other night, and I'm telling you, it was absolutely hilarious. Stoner comedy like you wouldn't believe. And
talk about cannabis lifestyle, Seth Rogen, of course.
Yes, and they definitely use cannabis in the movie for sure. And you know what? I think the best part about this is the guy, Seth Rogen's character, has a best friend that he went to college with, and he's like the #1 hype man. Like, you want someone in your life that is straight up like hyping you up all the time. So it's that.
I want that person.
Yes, everyone wants that, just a friend that's just hyping you up all the time. So that it's so great. I highly suggest it.
One thing I love to do in those films, like every time they either mention cannabis or smoke, I smoke with them.
You have to smoke with them.
Yes.
That's good. Do you have to do the same thing? Because I think they go big in that one. So I don't know.
Oh gosh. Okay.
It's like on Super High or something. You have to go really big. I hope you're not watching that movie and trying to keep up with that.
I've tried. Sometimes I can't, but I'll try. It's funny because Angela is like that with coffee. If she's watching something and someone starts drinking coffee, she pauses it and goes and makes coffee.
If I drink coffee, I bounce off the walls, man. My parents wouldn't even let me have Dr. Pepper as a kid, or I'd just freak out. I was telling someone that the other day. I think I was like the Kool-Aid mustache kid, like they can't give me that stuff or I'll freak out.
Oh, goodness.
So
I'll remember
something
that.
going the other way, a little slower is a little
Yes.
helpful.
So for this movie, what was it called again? Sorry,
It's called Long Shot.
Long
And,
Shot.
it's sort of a political movie. Like Charlize Theron is running for president. She used to be Secretary of State.
Ooh.
And
I'd vote for her.
yes.
There you go.
And that's what I thought. I thought halfway through the movie she was running, I was like, I'd probably vote for her. I mean, we did have a president not too long ago that was not very political and more on the entertainment side. So why can't we have someone like that?
Yeah.
She was so good in that movie too. You got to watch it. It's so great.
So I will definitely.
You do the ratings thing, right? Like,
yes. So is it a bud, a roach, or a bust?
This is 2 buds up.
2 buds. Oh,
up.
we got to watch it then.
It's one of my favorite movies that I've seen comedies in a while. And as I said, I laughed out loud a lot of times. So, and that's one of those movies that I think it just passed by us. I don't know. I just, for some reason, I didn't know it existed. So
it says a lot when you actually laugh out loud, because there's a lot of comedies that I watch the whole thing and it might be a little funny, but I'm not really laughing,
Exactly. Exactly. I dare you to go through that whole movie and not laugh. It's definitely laugh out loud funny. You'll enjoy it. And especially if you're trying to keep up, Wendy.
It'll be that much funnier for sure.
Yes.
Well, that sounds great. Well, we have a new sponsor, Irie Bliss Wellness. I just wanted to let everyone know about that. And if they want to, they could check out our link on wjae420.com, and great CBD products and also, just natural healing products as well.
And that's part of your cannabis lifestyle, right? So the CBDs and all that stuff is part of the cannabis lifestyle. So people think always like it has to be THC, but that's not true, right?
That is not true. There's so many cannabinoids. In fact, they're finding more all the time. We've just hit the tip of the iceberg where that's concerned. And CBD is so helpful and healing for many, many things. But yeah, definitely, you're absolutely right. Cannabis lifestyle, all different cannabinoids.
All the and they find them every day.
Yes.
Under rocks. It's just insane where they find these things.
Well, coming up next, Dr. Brian Nickel will be pairing a cannabis strain with our musical guest.
I'm Dr. Brian Nickel, your cannabis expert for CannabisExpertMD.com, with another music and cannabis pairing for the Wendy Love Edge Show. Wendy's musical guest this week is Jade. She's from Vallejo, California. Her first single was released in August of 2021, and her debut EP, entitled Jaded, it's coming this spring. She's a very strong cannabis advocate and has been nominated for the 2022 Cannabis Musician of the Year Awards by the OC Cannabis Awards Committee, and she will be performing at that show on the 29th at Garden Grove, California, at the show they're having then. She's also an owner of Jade Healing Company. They produce a variety of full-spectrum CBD products. I listened to her cut With Me. Now, this is a very, very hypnotic, well-mixed, heavy layered tune with Jordan's really seductive vocals, inviting you to join her in a bit of relaxation and the healing vibe of the music, along with a bit of cannabis. For this, I was looking for a strain which will put you into the state of mind to slip into the real chill state with her. I selected, based on the cannabinoid and terpene profiles available to me, Natural State Medicinal's Commerce City Kush. Commerce City Kush is always a potent strain. This one tested out at 26% total THC. A little bit of trace CBD was present. It is very potent in the terpene department too, at 2.28 total percent. Heavily myrcene dominant at 0.67%. Humulines up next at 0.52. Beta-caryophyllene at 0.45. The linalool is present at 0.23%, with limonene and terpinolene tied right about 1.75 each. Commerce City Kush. Now, the THC and the myrcene, they should combine to give you a really quick cerebral effect, which then settles into a very chill body and head high. The humulene, it can chase some of the munchies away that can occur with high THC strains. The limonene will help with any anxiety you may be having, while the linalool and terpinolene combine with the myrcene to provide really a hypnotic, relaxing, chill vibe that will really put you in the healing state Jade invites you to join her with. For more information on all things medical cannabis, do check us out at cannabisexpertmd.com. We're also available on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter under Cannabis Expert MD. Now I present to you Jordan Jade in With Me.
At your best, I want you to eliminate your stress. How you feel? Get it off your chest. Wanna see you out that dress. I love when your hair look a mess. Long shirt, still pull it off in sweats. Tell me how you feel. Type to serenade you with a meal. I'm tucked off like the Hulu and chill. I love your little vibe. When you around, nothing feel out of line. Got it all, don't need nothing on the side. Vibe with me. I can see the look in your face and can tell you feeling me. Gotta keep it open and honest, it ain't no mystery. Anything happened before me is just a memory. Communication, all it really take to fix your energy. Packing up that baggage, gotta learn I'm not your enemy. All them long nights made you feel all alone. Reminiscing nights I used to teach you how to roll. Your little pride cute, won't even hit up my phone.
Come get high with me. Touch the sky with me. Take this ride with me. Come get right with me.
Miss Teddy here with your Food is Medicine Minute. We are talking about a healthy lifestyle. And for women to lead a healthy lifestyle, even men, I'm going to talk about a vegetable that most people can't get a hold of, and it is not sold in the grocery stores, and that is cannabis. Cannabis in its raw form makes an excellent dietary supplement. It is high in omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. It is high in vitamin K, vitamin D, and vitamin C. It has protein matter to it. It is low in calories, and it is very, very versatile. You can pick it right off the plant and mix it with your salads, or you can juice it and use it in your smoothies later. For more information on Food is Medicine, please feel free to contact me at Learn From Teddy on Facebook.
Well, what a great show it's been. I love talking about the cannabis lifestyle and all the different parts of it.
Yeah, especially in this big field of cannabis. Like, we need to start a bonfire, like right over here in this area. Is that a thing? We can just start throwing it on the fire? I don't know if that happens that way. I saw a video one time of that. It's beautiful though, isn't it? You know, a lot of people always they think of all these bad stigmas attached to it, but then we always realize that it's a plant and it's a flower and it's absolutely beautiful. I don't even care if you use or not. It's just what a wonderful thing it is.
Absolutely. And the smell, when I look at photos like that of fields, I can almost smell it,
Yep.
I remember the first time I went to a hemp farm here in Arkansas. So I came from a place where people are growing everywhere and it's more readily available, and came to Arkansas. And it took them a while to implement the initiative. And then after the hemp bill passed, of course, then people started growing hemp too, right? The first time I actually cried. I like drove around the corner and I could smell it. I had my window open. I could smell it. And I was like, the tears just started running down my face.
It wasn't because it was just sticky icky either. It was just like, it was emotional, right?
It was like, man, in Arkansas, I can smell it and I can see it growing. And even though it's hemp, which is, it's not the full plant, but it's still so important and so useful in every way.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yes. Right.
Agreed.
Yeah. So do you have any final thoughts about cannabis lifestyle?
We were talking about this early in the show, and I definitely want to reiterate that everyone has their own lifestyle and everyone has their own path. So judgment, you got to throw that out the window most of the times when it comes to this. So a lot of time it's first sight when you make those judgments, but understand that everyone goes through a different thing. There are people that literally depend on cannabis to have a regular life. As we know that it can stop seizures in the tracks for some people. And so when people are going through this, there's people that do all sorts of things. So just know that it's just another lifestyle, and love them just the same. And hopefully learn from them. And there's some things that maybe you can utilize for your life.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. And I want to reiterate, what Tom Lowerman said early in the show. A lot of folks like Eve Lentz and Tom and many others really paved the way for us to live this lifestyle that we can more openly and have more access. So we need to make sure we give them props and help them out where we can.
They're pioneers, Wendy. I mean, you got to think about what they had to go through. There are laws back in the day that would arrest you and keep you under the jail.
Oh yeah.
And now they're advocates they're the people that stood up and told lawmakers and all these people and politicians that there are things that we could really use, and this war against a plant is something that definitely needs to be looked at and studied, and we're so lucky in 2022 to have this. So the younger people need to understand that it wasn't always like this, and I think it's for the older generation, it's hard to explain what it used to be like.
Right.
But it continues. The fight continues even today. So that lifestyle, people like Wendy here and all of you guys that are living that lifestyle of this is you got to carry the torch on for those people.
Yes, agreed. End the drug war.
Yes.
Yes. And on that note, everyone have a great week. Bye.
Bye.
The Wendy Love Edge Show is sponsored in part by Caris Healthcare, the Relevant app, Purely Natural CBD, Lindsay Camp and Synergy One Lending, Lit Premium Smoking Supplies, 131 Inclusion Gallery, Irie Bliss Wellness,